Chapter 3 of The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. Okay, we'll keep reading. Let me sit up. This is not supposed to be... It's not supposed to look good. I'm just here, okay. Cuddled up in my sweatshirt. Okay, there you go. You don't need to see me. You don't need to see me. Okay, Chapter 3, The Great Divorce, C.S. Lewis. Okay, I hope you can tell the difference in the characters. I'm trying not to do stupid accents. I'm not that good at that. Okay. All right, Chapter 3, The Great Divorce. A cliff had loomed up ahead. It sank vertically beneath us so far that I could not see the bottom, and it was dark and smooth. We were mounting all the time. At last, the top of the cliff became visible like a thin line of emerald green, stretched tight as a fiddle string. Presently, we glided over the top. We were flying above a level, grassy country, through which there ran a wide river. We were losing height now. Some of the tallest treetops were only 20 feet below us. Then, suddenly, we were at rest. Everyone had jumped up. Curses, taunts, blows, a filth of what's that word? A filth of vituperation, I don't know what that means, came to my ears as fellow passengers struggled to get out. A moment later, and they had all succeeded. I was alone in the bus, and through the open door there came to me, in the fresh stillness, the singing of a lark. I got out. The light and coolness that drenched me were like those of summer morning. Early morning, a minute or two before the sunrise. Only that there was a certain difference. I had the sense of being in a larger space, perhaps even a larger sort of space, than I'd ever known before, as if the sky were farther off, and the extent of the green plain wider than they could be on this little ball of earth. I had got, quote, out, in some sense, which made the solar system itself seem like an indoor affair. It gave me a feeling of freedom, but also of exposure, possibly of danger, which continued to accompany me through all that followed. It is the impossibility of communicating that feeling, or even of inducing you to remember it as I proceed, which makes me despair of conveying the real quality of what I saw and heard. At first, of course, my attention was caught by my fellow passengers, who were still grouped about in the neighborhood of the omnibus, though beginning, some of them, to walk forward into the landscape with hesitating steps. I gasped when I saw them. Now that they were in the light, they were transparent, fully transparent when they stood between me and it, smudgy and imperfectly opaque when they stood in the shadow of some tree. They were, in fact, ghosts, men-shaped stains on the brightness of that air. Men-shaped stains. One could attend to them or ignore them at will, as you do with the dirt on a window. As you do with the dirt on a window pane. I noticed that the grass did not bend under their feet. Even the dewdrops were not disturbed. Then some readjustment of the mind, or some focusing of my eyes took place, and I saw the whole phenomenon the other way round. The men were just as they had always been, as all the men I had known, and had been perhaps. It was the light, the grass, the trees that were different, made of some different substance, so much solider than the things in our country that men were ghosts by comparison. Moved by a sudden thought, I bent down and tried to pluck a daisy which was growing at my feet. The stalk wouldn't break. I tried to twist it, but it wouldn't twist. I tugged till the sweat stood out on my forehead, and I had lost most of the skin off my hands. He's trying hard. The little flower was hard, not like wood, or even like iron, but like diamond. There was a leaf, a young, tender beech leaf, lying in the grass beside it. I tried to pick the leaf up. My heart almost cracked with the effort, and I believe I did just raise it, but I had to let it go at once. It was heavier than a sack of coal. As I stood, recovering my breath with great gasps and looking down at the daisy, I noticed that I could see the grass not only between my feet, but through them. I also was a phantom. Who will give me the words to express the terror of that discovery? Golly, I thought, I'm in for it this time. Golly. Golly is kind of an interesting word to choose. Golly. Okay. I don't like it, screamed a voice. It gives me the pip. One of the ghosts had darted past me, back into the bus. She never came out of it again, as far as I know. The others remained uncertain. Hi, mister, said the big man, addressing the driver. When have we got to be back? You need never come back unless you want to, he replied. Stay as long as you please. There was an awkward pause. This is simply ridiculous, said a voice in my ear. One of the quieter and more respectable ghosts had sidled up to me. There must be some mismanagement, he continued. What's the sense of allowing all that riffraff to float about here all day? Look at 'em. They're not enjoying it. They'd be far happier at home. They don't even know what to do. I don't know very well myself, said I. What does one do? Oh, me? I shall be met in a moment or two. I'm expected. I'm not bothering about that. But it's rather unpleasant on one's first day to have the whole place crowded out with trippers. Damn it, one's chief object in coming here was to avoid them. He wants to avoid the riffraff. He drifted away from me, and I began to look about. In spite of his reference to a, quote, crowd, the solitude was so vast that I could hardly notice the knot of phantoms in the foreground. Greenness and light had almost swallowed them up. But very far away I could see what might either be a great bank of cloud or a range of mountains. Sometimes I could make out in the steep forests far withdrawing valleys, and even mountains, cities perched on inaccessible summits. At other times it became indistinct. The height was so enormous that my waking sight could not have taken in such an object at all. Light brooded on top of it, slanting down, thence making long shadows behind every tree on the plain. There was no change and no progression as the hours passed. The promise or the threat of sunrise rested immovably up there. Long after that, I saw people coming to meet us, because they were bright, and I saw them while they were still very distant. At first, I did not know that they were people at all. Mile after mile, they drew nearer. The earth shook under their tread as their strong feet sank into the wet turf. A tiny haze and a sweet smell went up where they had crushed the grass and scattered the dew. Some were naked, some robed, but the naked ones did not seem less adorned, and the robes did not disguise. The robes did not disguise those who wore them in the massive grandeur of muscle and the radiant smoothness of flesh. Some were bearded, but no one in that company struck me as being of any particular age. One gets glimpses, even in our country, of that which is ageless. Heavy thought in the face of an infant, and frolic childhood in that of a very old man. Here it was all like that. They came on steadily. I did not entirely like it. Two of the ghosts screamed and ran for the bus. The rest of us huddled closer to one another. Okay, that was chapter 3. That was a short one.